And I like that you mentioned the Xbalanque earlier when I was asking who to give it to as well, because Xbalanque is actually very good in the late game.
Yeah.
It can certainly swing very well for them. They just weren't able to get that off the ground, unfortunately, for him. And Chekio never got to that point of relevance. Looking towards game 2 then, what's the adjustment you want? Do you think it needs to be in picks and bans, or is it in execution where Queso is going to need to make that adjustment?
I think we can see some adjustments from both teams in picks and bans for sure. I think the Vamana may be taken away, either taken for themselves for Queso, or they'll make, sorry, not for Queso, for FlashPoint, or they'll look to ban that away potentially this time around. Julio did cause a lot of problems on that, but like I said, the team fights were a little disjointed there. Maybe Warchi and a mage. I think we'll see a couple of changes maybe. I don't think you can ban out Dzoni though. I think a lot of people have focused on Dzoni, where it's like, okay, get rid of the Kuang because it's OP, fine. But then he's got Kali, then he's got other gods as well that he can still bring out. And he likes the hyper carries.
He does. This team knows that that's where they get their bread butter.
There's a lot of hyper carries.
There are a lot.
There's too many.
Well, let's go ahead and move into the picks and bans then for game number 2. Are FlashPoint going to be able to get it done in 2, or can Team Queso force us into a 3rd game? We'll be able to find out in just a moment in the picks and bans. Arthur, no surprise, certainly going to be getting banned away. The question is, will we see the likes of Kuang banned away too? Is Hera going to get picked up any earlier? Vamana, where's that going to go? Those are the ones hanging over the game.
Well, we saw the Hunters picked up first of all, and last time we saw,
exactly
right, straight away, might go the same sort of way again. Queso have the option to go for the Xbalanque one more time. They've made an adjustment though, Queso. They've taken away the MC. They didn't like that matchup in the lane. I think overall Kespainify and Fusify played that very well in the dual lane, but they played consistently well as a pair for quite a long period of time already.
And they were having a hard time killing Kespainify. Remember, he built Mantle towards the end of the build, and he had Runeforged in there too, so he had health, plenty of prots towards the end of the game, and that's something a Muzen Comp can very comfortably build into. So you limit those options, and Queso, instead of banning the Kuang, they pick it for themselves.
A lot of pressure on WorstTurttle there. Although we have talked a little bit, at least behind the scenes, I've heard a lot of rumblings about Kuang's solo lane, but that's mainly in ranked games, and whether that like really moves to this sort of area here of like coming into the minor league and the pro play, we'll see. But it is a flexible option. It's a lot of pressure on WorstTurttle to play that in the jungle against Dzoni now. Everyone's like, okay, well Dzoni can do this, so I'm gonna have to do just as good, if not better.
Well, that's certainly the impact that they're going to need to have from him as Xbalanque and Agni come through for FlashPoint. So Kespainify and FaraKrik getting a bit of a different look here. A little bit surprised to see Agni prioritize this high. Some of the core items that Agni likes to use got touched a little bit.
Sure.
Magus, Soul Reaver, those sorts of things. He can certainly still be strong, though.
I tell you, the only reason I can think about reason for Agni so early is because the Agni Kuang combination together is actually really potent. It was when Kuang first released and Agni together, because the mid lane jungle, because it's a mage with a ranged stun, you can set the Kuang up to stealth him from the jungle. You've stunned him already, and the follow-up burst damage is just too much from 2 mages. Might be the reason. That's the only one I can really think of as why it's so early.
Ullr and Kuzenbo going to come in next for Team Queso. Ullr could be in the middle lane. We've seen some of that, but likely probably going to be over there in the Hunter role. Going to let Chekio pilot that one. And the Kuzenbo. I like this pick. He can be very annoying, very disruptive, able to get those sumo slams off all the time, it feels like. So very, very strong.
We mentioned Xbalanque in game 1 and the fact he's a hyper carry. No duh, right? Like, he's a really hyper carry. Kuzenbo shuts down hyper carries that are physical based. You can just stand there, eat 1 billion damage, and give, well, 500 million damage back at least, right? So he just sits there and goes, okay, you want to hit someone, Jibba? Hit me all day. I don't really mind. I'll deal with it. Plus, the Nene Kappa everyone underestimates, but he body blocks shots.
Yeah, Kuzenbo's the kind of guy that at the end of the game, you're like, why is he top player damage? It's because that's all your damage.
It's because they're carrying so much damage that he managed to do so much damage back. Yeah,
that's right. Susano picked up, and I'm liking Susano more and more when I get to see him. He does a lot for you from the jungle, and like you mentioned, with Agni having all that set up, that makes it even easier for Susano to come in. It's like a 1-2 punch in that mid jungle combo.
And now with Sibi picking up the Sun Wukong again, Sibi just likes being aggressive, being frontline. He's trying to cause him to use a few abilities, maybe a relic or 2 here. Get on the cloud, reset the fight, and go from there. Hercules, though, I'm interested in that one.
Hercules picked up for the solo lane. Okay. Well, Hercules did get a little bit of love. He certainly can be strong. That does mean, though, that we're probably seeing Kuzenbo support now in that case. I thought maybe he was in the solo. You think maybe it's Herc support?
Herc can support. He has done in the past.
He can.
The extra protections on the mitigate wounds is actually kind of important, I feel. That going to make a big difference in the laning phase as well as when you fight something that Guardian's Blessing he's going to have at the start. Can cause a couple of problems. I don't know if it's going to be in the dual lane, but it can be played support still, Finch.
Nox coming through for Team Queso, another pick that can be very strong. Very frustrating to try and play up against, though, with that silence. And it can interrupt the Susano a lot. He needs to fire his abilities off a lot. Agni as well in these team fights, if they're able to get it off.
I'm not liking the comp from Queso right now. I think it's a very skill shot dependent, and a lot of skill shot dependent combos
Like
can
high
work.
execution, yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you miss your combo on Ullr, what else you got, right? A couple of basics, and that's more of a shot at Ullr not being like the auto attack stimmer that you look for. And Nox the same thing. Same could be said for a Hercules. You miss your 2-1 combo, well, that's kind of you done, apart from you're going to be a bot that's going to be standing there tanking damage. I think Queso's comp is a little bit too high execution, but if they pull it off, it shows they're really out here. Like,
That's a good point.
They're
You're
playing
right.
well.
FlashPoint has a lot of stuff that's hard to miss on their side, right?
Yeah.
And plenty of setup for it too. So will this maybe easier to execute squad work, or this high execution one that's picked up by Queso? We'll find out in game number 2. Get it over to the casters.
Thanks a lot, John. Thanks a lot, Hindu Man. And FlashPoint versus Queso, game number 2. FlashPoint in the first game drew up a strategy, drafted for it, and executed. They did exactly what they needed to do. Game number 2, we'll see how it changes.
Ooh, WorstTurttle already had, that's a quick blink 180 turnaround. I had to give that one to WorstTurttle. You just realized I walked into the wrong neighborhood.
Game number 1 also started with a cheeky strategy, which is why I think we see this sort of grouping up. FlashPoint was on the receiving end. Team Queso had Julio, their solo laner, start in the duo lane and then look for an early gank and then teleport back, and it was wonderful. They got first blood, even though they didn't take the game. FlashPoint here respond by grouping up, and they don't even have their duo lane in lane, which is kind of interesting.
Sibi wanted to go for another speed buff invade, similar to what he did last game, but Julio, since he is here now, not going to allow him, actually takes the better end of that trade. Also, the driving strike dealing a little bit more damage than that cudgel early on.
Oh, yeah. Hercules here. Not caring about a thing. Julio's Hercules also one of his stronger characters. Julio, so Hinderman mentioned that Team Queso playing a very skill shot dependent composition. Julio has always landed them. Julio mains tier, right? So I don't mind Julio on the Hercules, even though it might be a little more difficult to play. Warchi on the Nox. You want to talk about skill shot dependent gods? That's Nox, baby.
Nox is interesting to see Warchi pilot, because we haven't really seen Warchi use Nox, if ever, but Warchi is someone who I think mages have definitely fit him better than his time in the sun underneath as a hunter player. So I am curious to see this, because I fully agree with what they were saying on the desk. I think that this is definitely a very high execution composition, but if they pull it off, it is going to be one of the most frustrating comps to try and deal with, because there's just so much interruption.
Nice stun on the Fusify from Chekio. Bladed Arrow going to deal some damage as well. Cut down by the 3, and cut down. No! The shell is good enough. Fusify wiggles his way out of there. Beautiful shell. Perfect timing from Dracomarino there to help the defensive play, and then Fusify with even better timing to make sure that he doesn't fall down. Love it.
I'm kind of in disbelief right now that that Vance didn't just go into the passive. I thought he was in sleepy time mode for Kumba. Like, I didn't even see his health. It was just a shell. It was like a white shell bar, and that was his HP. He probably had like anywhere between 0 to 10.
He had 5 total HP. Let's take a look back at that one. That was really, the timing on that was intense. Fusify that midnight Red Bull to avoid the sleepy time. Here, look at this. Fusify gets hit by the 3, and there, boom! 5 HP before the shell comes out. Give it up for Fusify, man.
It's the jump. I think the jump just barely missed. A pixel or two off to the left, and that's all it takes for the first blood to be dropped there.
The beauty of Smite game, baby. Nice play from Fusify. Still has that passive cooldown available. Of course, no shell. Both supports will have their shell within seconds of each other, so we'll likely see another tussle in about a minute.
Purple buff respawn is coming back up, though, and Chekio and Dracomarino have no idea that the mid jungle up rotated. Fusify going in without any hesitation. Dracomarino, he's toast.
See you later. That's, yeah. First blood, nice and easy. Johnny chasing down Chekio. The grab is good. Couple more basics. One more, goes onto the tower, and he'll survive as well. Johnny with the follow-up kill. A little bit more exciting than the first blood, I'll say.
A little bit, but it's Also, a little bit heartbreaking at the same time for Dracomarino and Checkio. I mean, for them, they thought they had this one in the bag for the laning phase. Everything was going swell. They forced out the shell from Fusify fairly early on. They knew he wouldn't have it underneath the purple buff. Would have been a great engagement. And then there's a mid-jungler, level 4, just rotating in and destroying your entire life.
Feels game 1, man. Game 1, Julio comes over to the left lane, gets a first blood. Team Queso are celebrating their victory. And then Dzoni goes, kills the solo lane, and then, well, there's a reason there's a 1 and a 0 in front of FlashPoint and Queso, respectively. Here, Queso have a great shell moment. They look fantastic, and then, you know, FlashPoint just,
AO and Nox, individually speaking, when you look at both of those gods in any team composition, your first immediate thought is, oh my god, not another one of these type of games. But the early game, when you throw both of them together, is a little bit awkward because you just don't have that much early game pressure. And FlashPoint just took advantage of that by holding W into the dual lane. A little bit of a misplay, I think, from Dracomarino and Checkio as well, to not be expecting some form of pressure, considering that it's a Susano Agni, and that just screams pressure due to the Agni. But at the same time, it's just, what is Warchi or WorstTurttle really meant to do there? If the MIAs have already been called, that's about all they can really offer at this stage.
I got to agree there. That said, as the game gets later and Nox becomes less useless, because, I mean, that's really what our early game is, right? I love this selection, to be honest with you. Dzoni playing a character, a combo-oriented character, right? Gotta use all of your abilities. Storm Kata is a multi-stage ability. Well, Silence cuts that out. FaraKrik is a combo-oriented character. Wants to.
Well, it's just the Wind Siphon. It's going to set everything up for the Agni that he needs to get in place. And just in case anything does go wrong, you've got Wind Siphon, you've got Kumbhakarna Mez, you've also got Sibi with a knockout.
But Warchi's going to silence it all out?
Possibly,
He's going to silence it out?
But they shouldn't all be standing together. That's what I'm really keeping an eye on. Dzoni, if anything, is going to be the one to get up close and personal. He's going to be the one forcing Warchi's cooldowns. And the second that he gets that knock stash, FaraKrik is going to close the gap.
WorstTurttle, the one in trouble. A nice blink, and he's seen by Dzoni. Warchi going to whiff the ultimate, so no punish there. Dzoni with another nice kill onto WorstTurttle. 0-1 and 0. Now Kuang not able to get off to the hot start that the Susano has with 2 kills to his name.
FlashPoint are already choking Team Queso at the jungle pressure points. And Fusify, though, friendly reminder, Wind Siphon, or not, excuse me, not Wind Siphon, but that can deal a lot of damage from Nox when you connect the combo.
The Trouble Puddle is a very, very big deal coming from Warchi. And, you know, I've pointed out how Nox is going to interact with the jungle and the mid. Uh-oh, FaraKrik leashed up. There's a push from Draco, but the dash a little bit too late. Warchi can't find that final piece of damage.
Those beads, though.
Yeah.
And FaraKrik's clenching, trust me. There's no way that he felt comfortable about that one. And now WorstTurttle feeling a little bit more confident and looking for this invade. Beautiful. Oh, not so much so.
Not
for a
good
second
enough.
there, it looked like he might have made the cut, but Dzoni at the last second seems to have found the confirmation he needed.
I love the play. I love the play. Blink in, shoot, blink out. That's exactly what you want to do there. WorstTurttle unable to confirm. Build pretty normal. You're going to see now Kuang. Anytime you see a mage in the jungle, for the most part, you can expect to see, I think, Bancroft talent, just largely because it's quick to buy. Some of the options, some of the other options that provide as much power are not really as efficient. And then plus, of course, WorstTurttle on the Dragon Call going to be basic attacking and actually make use of some of that lifesteal.
Haven't really paid much mind either to this Totem of Ku all game, but I do feel like Sibi has had a lot of control over the Totem for the majority of the past 8 minutes here, which is kind of nice for FlashPoint to have, because that little bit of mana sustain goes a long way for Agni in the early game, I feel.
It's also going to help out Dzoni, who, if he dips into these towers, he's going to get the MP5, but also a little bit of movement speed as well, which you don't got to tell a jungler twice, hey, would you like some free movement speed?
Junglers fiend for movement speed. There's some junglers who would rather just go all movement speed items if they could.
I mean,
I guarantee it.
Zooming. Zoom in. How many times, you play jungle from time to time. How many times have you prioritized speed buff over a team fight, Taco? Be
Every
honest.
time.
Exactly.
Every time. What do you mean? That is the team fight, is what happens with the speed buff.
That's what I'm saying. The team fight is just my entire team zoning 4v5.
And this, I love seeing that from Warchi, by the way. The quick Shadow Lock into the Siphon Darkness. It's incredible how long that Shadow Lock
so long.
lasts for. It makes the setup just that much easier, but being able to drop that underneath the tower, that's a feels-good moment for Warchi because it's the first time, I think, that we really get to see him play up for once.
2 seconds is a lifetime in a game where some people say movement speed is the most important stat because you can dodge everything. 2 seconds standing still? Well, that's what happens when you stand still for 2 seconds. You become the first kill for the enemy team. Team Queso on the board as they take down Fusify.
Talk about a wrong place at the wrong time. Fusify, I'm not even sure if he was just looking for a ward opportunity there.
Yeah.
He just kind of got jumped on by 4 different people at once, and it all starts off with the most annoying Shadow Lock of all time because it's Kumbha. Kumbha you would normally expect to be the one causing all that hard crowd control, and then it's just Nox.
Yeah, just the wrong spot. The wrong spot for Fusify. Building into a Void Stone. Rather interesting. After Tank Boots. So Tank Boots, I like Tank Boots in very specific scenarios. Reinforced Greaves, they give 21 prots, right? That's a whole lot of protections, sure. But they don't just give 21 prots. They have to take up to 21 prots. So you usually, I like this against dot-based characters. I like this against repeated damage characters like Dzoni or FaraKrik. Problem is, they're on his team. Julio, WorstTurttle, Warchi, these are all burst characters.
No,
I
think there's definitely
and the
dot
ultimate
damage
from
possible.
Warchi,
There's
yeah.
Dracomarino as well with shell spikes.
Nene
I think that
Kappa.
can get incredibly annoying.
Okay.
Chekio might opt for a Crusher.
And even without a Crusher, repeated abilities from Ullr. Okay, I'm sold on the Tank Boots. I'm with it. Fusify going to use him as he sends one to the sky. Dracomarino goes to the ultimate and goes back to the bench. Kespainify picking up kill number 4.
He was dead before he even hit the ground, to be fair.
I thought there
Julio.
was a chance he might be able to, like, wiggle on out. Like Sibi will right here.
Does Sibi have enough mana to coast away, though? That is the real question, because there's 3 different members.
The silence, though!
Oh, he's fine.
Oh, the silence. The silence. That was the one interaction that I didn't mention. And actually, Warchi's a little bit too quick. The silence is going to interrupt the animals. So once you're in bird form, ox form, tiger form, if you run into the silence, it takes you out like a Thanatos scythe. So making sure to use that after animals are used, that's a big deal. Warchi doesn't do it there, but it doesn't matter because he has the follow-up from his jungler.
Well, Julio also, I think, trying to go man mode for a second there, and it almost worked against him, but luckily enough, WorstTurttle was there waiting for the pickup scoop on that execute. Nice silence from Fusify will prevent him from getting that root off onto Warchi or Dracomarino. And with the 3-man grouping in mid lane, starting to wonder if FlashPoint's going to maybe look to play aggressive here on Queso's red buff.
Well, looks like Queso will be able to confirm no invade from FlashPoint just yet there. FlashPoint earlier picking up the Pyromancer. And so 12.5 ends, 4-2, tie game.
You hate to see it. That's just the suffering of every warrior or guardian out there. You know when you've been working on a buff for like a solid 1.5 years and then somebody just comes in and last hits it?
Wow. That's just what Sun Wukong does. He's just going to do that all day. Julio stunned out, brought down kinda low, and the call is made. Julio sees the jungler on the right side of the map, left side of the map, Gold Fury! Queso picking that one up. So a nice gold lead starting to be built here from the Cheese team.
But look at where the vision spread is currently at, surrounding that Gold Fury. Most of it is in Queso's favor, which is why there was no one from FlashPoint to have any sort of indicator that something was going on. Just a beautiful call from Queso, really, whoever decided to make it for the gold there. WorstTurttle, though, got to be careful. Now that Gold Fury's off the map, FlashPoint can play a little bit more aggressively here because they've already missed out on the best objective available right now.
Well, it's 4-2, 13.5 in. We'll take a brief pause in the action as we get things a little situated here. FlashPoint down about 1,000, despite the fact that the Gold Fury went there. Well, no, the Gold Fury went in the other direction. My bad. So because of that, you see the other side, Team Queso, able to take advantage. But yeah, that's the communication that you expect on this level. Too heavy on the right side, shift over to the left, and go for the objective.
And it's just so dangerous, though, because I can completely understand why Dzoni might want to rotate over to the solo side of the map. It's just, you can't leave the Gold Fury exposed for too long. There's just is a lot of burst, and AO specifically is notorious for being one of the go-to junglers for taking early game objectives.
Doing just that, certainly.
He's got the sustain on the objective and the shred potential. It's just so easy, I feel, when you have an AO on your team to just bring down Gold Fury before the enemy team can even rotate.
Sibi won't get the tier 1. Very close, though. Very, very close there. Went for it for sure. Itemization from the jungler, very interesting as well. Dzoni picking up the Enchile. That'll mess up what Nox is trying to do a little bit.
It's going to mess up what WorstTurtle's trying to do, too. I think it'll be WorstTurtle more so than Warchi. Warchi's got enough range to where if he's getting an Enchile procced on him, he's probably somewhere that he shouldn't be.
Dracomarino also, don't forget, Guardian damage is magical. So the Enchile will stop some of that stuff. Love the choice. Love the build. And again, I mean, just Dzoni on the spot here. Just doing what we expect. Checkio, nice beads. So the pull won't happen. Knockup is good, but no tower dive just yet.
I feel like they could have gotten that one, but
I was going to say the same.
They were definitely concerned that there was going to be a rotation from Queso because people are missing on the map, and that's always dangerous behavior.
Oh, no.
Epic uppercut immediately to prevent WorstTurttle from doing any further damage, but it's all about FaraKrik. He's actually the one getting controlled.
WorstTurttle goes down, last hit to the support. FaraKrik is getting controlled. Can he get out of here? The answer is no. Warchi finishes him off with the basic attack. So does Kespainify. His might have hurt a little bit more. 2 for 1. Julio trying to turn that around. Blink driving strike. There's a flip. Fusify stuck. That's going to be it. Get the kill here. It's a 2 for 2.
Not like Dzoni. Can't just jet stream on out of there. And so Fusify will end up paying for his team sins and aggressive moments, but now with Sibi having rotated in, he will just avoid that Siphon Darkness. It's not going to deal nearly as much damage with the Shadow Lock on top of him, and that'll be the saving of the T1 tower there in mid. I think Queso did have a pretty good opportunity for a second to try and maybe look towards stripping away that T1 tower and opening up some map pressure, but FlashPoint, Sibi, that was the rotation his team needed.
That's exactly what his role is. Playing on the solo lane.
Perfect example of better late than never.
Yep.
Because he was late.
Yes.
And there's only so much you can do at this stage because a lot of solo laners, you can't tell when they back if they're going to actually choose to rotate if they're going to choose to go back to their lane, because Julio still hasn't taken away the tower either from Sibi's solo. So Sibi's the one who actually has a little bit more of an advantage here in terms of how much he's willing to rotate. But for Julio, he's got a lot more on the line, I think, if he continuously rotates, because he is trailing in terms of XP.
Sibi with an interesting choice here, going into the Void Shield. So, if Sibi wants to play kind of, we saw how successful aggressive solo laners were in game number 1, right? Vamana and his counterpart just going all in. Big damage from these solo laners. Void Shield, I like it. If there's not a magical jungle, there's not that much physical damage that I'm worried about here. I mean, a Hunter and a Hercules, sure, but Is Void Shield the play?
Well, looking at this Hercules' health, I might start to feel like it is. WorstTurttle going to get hit by that on Kile proc, and that'll force him to back off for the moment. Kespainify also using that Darkest Nights just in case. WorstTurtle's got to be careful. They know his one is on cooldown for a moment here. Beads are going to come out. Fusify still looking for more. Epic uppercut, though, not going to be able to connect, but it doesn't even matter.
Julio with the multi-man knockup thanks to the tornado. Dzoni looking mad good right there with the ult. Here's Blink forward, everybody looking for Chekio. Sibi gets the knockup and the slow. His team right behind him. There's the Blink forward from the jungle. And FaraKrik is able to find the last hit.
That is every hunter's hell.
Yep.
You go to your tower, but you know that it isn't even going to save you. You're kind of just there to remember.
Please, please, please save me. A lot of cooldown reduction here for the Ullr as well. Not enough this time. Double driving strike opens up the kill for Julio. Fusify now going down, and the Shadow Step will help out the mid lane mage. Julio saves out his mid laner, and now FlashPoint. It's their turn to look towards the Gold Fury. Queso getting the first one thanks to heavy rotation on the right-hand side. Not good enough. Dot damage still there, so FlashPoint leash. Looking for Warchi. FlashPoint get both the objective. Can they get the kill? The answer is yes. FaraKrik on a killing spree. 3-1-7 for the mid lane mage.
Sometimes when it rains, it just pours. And for Team Queso, that was probably the worst case scenario there. I completely respect the decision to look for a little bit of contestant there because of the fact that Warchi definitely thought that Night Terror was going to deal a little bit more damage, I think, and FlashPoint are just there to reap every single one of the benefits. Not only does he help out with that boosted damage onto the Gold Fury, but FaraKrik has his bombs all recharged while he's waiting because he was trying to hold out for that anyway, and that's all that he wanted. And so FlashPoint just getting every single little bit of the reward.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. That was definitely the worst case scenario.
Is that... You know, I saw your face light up for a moment there, and I could tell that you had something in the works. But I gotta admit, that one caught me a little off guard.
I'll be here all week, folks. Quite literally. FlashPoint now trying to push up in the mid lane. Chekio jumping away to safety. And the Kespainify ultimate not fruitful this time around. FlashPoint 11-5 as we tick 20 on the clock with a very slight lead, 2,000, 3,000 give or take.
It's got to be rough, though, for WorstTurttle, because you take the AO because you don't want to let Dzoni have it, and because WorstTurttle... Oh, all that thought, though. Sibi getting blown up in the mid lane. Doesn't even get a chance to go into the Somersault Cloud. Chekio going to get credit for it, but now WorstTurttle wanting to play aggressive against Dzoni.
Yeah, trying to run through. Dzoni now stuck in between everybody. Chekio gets another kill, 4-2-0 as he blazes through the enemy team. Warchi, though, made a big impact in that middle lane. FaraKrik trying to control players to keep the aggression at bay. That's exactly what he'll do. Team Queso retreats. A nice play there.
That's one of those moments where if you're Sibi, you might begin to regret having a Void Shield.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Yeah. Warchi. So.
But he is top damage, so he has definitely been getting his money's worth out of this Void Shield.
Sure. I feel like, yeah, there are other options, though, I think, if you want to go into it. You could. We've seen the Soul Leader from DW. Pause that conversation away from the theoretical and more to the actuality. Fire Giant, 10%. FlashPoint trying to defend. Sibi smacks down Chekio. And Warchi, surrounded by enemy jerseys, will also get away. He's out. He's got a silence. No, FaraKrik gets him from afar. 2 players down on Queso, and FlashPoint continues to move forward.
We all know they're not going to kill Julio, so Fusify willing to give up the chase here. WorstTurttle, though, and Julio could possibly combine forces here to make something happen, but it's gonna be risky trying to take this engagement. 4 different members from FlashPoint grouped up now and geared up ready for action, but seems like the fight has already dissipated. Both sides don't really seem all that interested any longer in trying to engage with the other. They already killed the relevant carries.
Yeah. Warchi has been, it's interesting. Okay, Warchi is number 2 on his squad. And I guess that's to be expected. Another character similar to the Kali that we saw Johnny play earlier in the day. Warchi, definitely not a level 1, 2, 3, 4 type character. Somebody that comes online a little bit later. So the damage is starting to come from the mid lane. You know where the damage isn't coming from, though, Taco?
That 3100 AO.
Yeah. That's not WorstTurtle's finest outing.
Not something that you want to see, but hey, at the same time, WorstTurtle has probably gotten the worst of it because FlashPoint, the second that he shows his face, they just collapse on top of this guy. He has not had any chances to maneuver freely throughout that back line. The few opportunities that he has had alongside of his team, however, those have gone incredibly well. For example, what just happened to Sibi 2 minutes ago, he was blown up, and a lot of that was part of that 3100 damage.
I also think that this is FlashPoint. When you're playing a character like Kuang, you are in the crosshairs specifically.
The Typhons?
Yep. We've seen this build a couple of times because it's just good. So Typhons has been looked at a little bit here, and the healing it provides is absurd, especially in combination. Don't forget, the Bancroft was the first item.
True, but there's so much anti-heal. I don't think I would want to double down on lifesteal as an AO into a composition that can so easily proc its anti-heal.
Pestilence on the solo laner, Beat Stick on the jungler, Divine Ruin, FaraKrik there, almost first item for him. Yeah, there's a lot of anti-heal. Perhaps this is the wrong thought process. Certainly something to think about. We'll see how it works out. If he's able to avoid, that's a tall if. I might just be with you there. I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it.
If he jukes every single ability in the game.
It's possible, Taco. No, I'm with you.
WorstTurttle, the god.
Maybe he'll turn into best turtle. We'll see. This game certainly not his opus magnus for sure.
Dracomarino under fire now, literally, from these Agni bombs.
Nice.
FaraKrik will be able to get away from the moment, though.
Eat him!
But the epic uppercut, that's what they were waiting for.
Fusify just on a different planet right now and sending WorstTurtle back to his home planet. Fantastic job from FlashPoint there to protect their mid lane mage.
Sibi now stuck underneath the Shadow Lock. Siphon Darkness going to keep Fusify from any of his cooldowns as well. But this is a power play for FlashPoint. WorstTurtle is dead for 40 seconds. Johnny lurking around the corner. Fusify going to be made the target of action again. He is going for a ride with this Kuzenbo straight into the T2 tower. That's just, he really was cruising for a bruising.
I'm going to take you for a ride. Shout out to my fellow nerds out
Now
there.
everybody's going to know you're a good singer. It's okay.
Amen. Amen. I like the cruising for a bruising, though. You get Johnny looking for the blink in the middle of the team fight. As soon as Fusify goes to the wayside, he just invades the speed. And I love that Johnny just spinning multiple plates in his brain. He's like, all right, I got like 3 things I can do right now. Oh, 2 of them have just been destroyed because my support player's dead. I'll just take the speed.
Can we please just go back for a second, though, and appreciate Fusify for that epic uppercut?
Yes!
Because FaraKrik should have died.
Yes!
He should have died. If this was your standard rank game, I can assure you he dies. But one play from Fusify, and it completely changes the outcome of a team fight, because if WorstTurtle gets off that execute, it's a reset, and then Team Queso is the one who's able to push inwards. But it goes the opposite way. Instead, sure, they might have forced out FaraKrik's actives, but that's irrelevant when you won the team fight already.
Yeah, I'm Kumbhakarna. I'm Kumbhakarna at that comment because Fusify just absolutely. I mean, that's. We always say, well, supports are the real heroes. Somebody's buying Fusify a steak dinner after that play, and I think it's FaraKrik. Warchi trying to make a play in the mid lane, not gonna happen. Fusify one more time. Wiggles out of trouble. Dracomarino has to dash. One of my favorite animations in the game, by the way, when Kuzenbo gets stunned and he lands on his back like a turtle on his back. It's definitely one of my favorite parts of Smite game. FlashPoint has stayed grouped up here for a couple of minutes
Shell
at this
too
point.
thick.
And they're up 6,000 gold. I've mentioned a couple of times here in Season 6 how much more difficult Fire Giant is in general. Plus, the Enhanced Fire Giant becomes even more difficult, heroic version. At what point is 6K a big enough lead for FP to just go, screw it, we're doing it live, and just hit the Fire Giant?
The only way that we see FlashPoint going for this is if every single member on Team Queso, if they catch him off guard, that's a possibility. But at this point of the game, there's no reason for Team Queso to have all of their members back to base at the exact same time. This right now is even, I think, a little bit dangerous, but FlashPoint just saw Chequio and Dracomarino head off towards the right-hand side, so they might not be as concerned. Dracomarino still giving presence, still alluding to the thought process of, hey, maybe we're right behind this corner, and we're all going to jump on you the second you start attacking that Fire Giant. But it's definitely rough for pros, I think, to figure out when they want to all in on FG.
It's going to be started here, and
Julio's in left.
And I was kind of waiting because just looking for the play to push the game, and this is it. I don't think FlashPoint were looking for the objective; they were looking more for the team fight. Johnny gets blown up, so it'll be a 4 on whoever's here. Dracomarino pushed out, more like 4 on 4 now as Draco's no longer available. Fusify also pushed out. Julio down to 40%, but not a big deal. FlashPoint get punished. Not a great look for FP here. If they start the Fire Giant and kind of just come up even on the resulting team fight.
But that went infinitely better than what I thought it originally was going to go, because Johnny was just blown up in an instant by Chequio's autos, and Fusify just came through one more time. That epic uppercut saving the lives of his teammates. He caused enough disrupt to shift the attention for a moment, and then the only member left to try and pursue Johnny was Dracomarino, who gets controlled inside of the Fire Giant pit. Johnny even threw out the ultimate just in case, making sure that if anything, that Typhoon is going to crash into somebody.
Just making sure to get some sort of disruption. So now FlashPoint, we still have this 5,000 gold lead. And again, they're looking to break open the game. They're looking for a window of opportunity. They're looking for a spot to play their pieces. Fire Giant, as I mentioned a number of times, is difficult to kill. And so just like that last time, I don't think FlashPoint ever had any intention of just killing the Fire Giant. The deal was, I mean, this is the brick through the window. How long will it take Queso to show up to the scene of the crime? Well, it took him a couple of seconds, and then they got a team fight. FlashPoint now punishing Julio for being more by himself than he should be. Cut down to about 40%. And, well, FlashPoint know the response time. What do they do with that? They need the team fight.
Well, FlashPoint, they know that they poked out Julio, so now they're looking for that team fight. WorstTurttle could end up getting the worst end of it as well if he's not careful.
Beautiful play, though, WorstTurttle. Using the geometry of the map to make sure he's not pulled. That wasn't an accident. He's hugging that verse into Susano on purpose, knowing damn well how that ability works. He is not the #1 player in the damage charts, but I like that play. If he's pulled there, that's a dead out Kuang.
I think
easily.
They're definitely still hunting him. Fusify as well, just hugging his carries. WorstTurttle, though, going to get sucked right in, and that is the opportunity that Johnny needed. The silence from the Ankile proc just kills WorstTurtle.
Just deleted, but there's the hunter, and Chequio does what his class says he does and hunts down Johnny. Long-range boulder from Julio on the back line is a 4-on-4. Both junglers down for the count. Julio's in trouble. Sibi looking for the jump down. Slams, misses it, hits him with the jingle bang, and the Master's will. Not enough to take down Hercules. While Chequio, off-screen to the left, deals with the Agni. 2 for 1. Not much Queso can do with that. Maybe a Gold Fury, but I think FlashPoint can still punish just with Fusify and Kespainify.
I want to see them pressure Gold, though, or at least the Pyromancer. I want them to get an objective.
I want to see this.
FaraKrik being dead is massive, and yet it's Queso. They get 2 picks. And they're farming.
And they lose
they're
the Gold Fury.
They're farming the lanes instead of going for the objectives. This is where you kind of got to shake your head a little bit, because these guys know better.
I've been saying it since 2013. Smite is about the stuff after the stuff. You've got to get the kill, and then while you are getting the last hit, think about where you're going next. FlashPoint understands after that they're on the they could be on the receiving end. Queso backs and gets a Gold Fury, so they take it off of the map themselves. Wonderful thought process from the guys on FlashPoint, keeping their 6,000 gold, their 5,000 gold lead now intact. 15-10, 32 minutes in. FlashPoint outright that wasn't their fight, but they got the objective.
If I had to make a choice between the Gold Fury or Pyromancer, and it's not super late into the game. I mean, obviously at 70 minutes, nobody cares if you get the Gold Fury or not.
Maybe if it's an Oni Fury?
If it's an Oni Fury, okay, true.
And even if
with
it's a Primal Fury,
it's
I
a
might
little
even
bit
think
different.
about it.
And with Primal, because of the fact that it affects other on-map big game objectives, I can completely understand that.
Ooh, pushed out of the Nox nonsense. That's not what you want to see. Dracomarino now. Watery Grave. And he's going to be turned black and blue by Sibi. Not enough damage, though, to bring him down. So FlashPoint just pushing buttons.
But peep the actives. Both of Warchis forced out from that last play. Fusify coming in. Big Mez going to catch Chekio. Force the Chekio beads as well. Boulder is out and about, but FaraKrik's going to survive.
Ooh, just barely. Meanwhile, Johnny giving chase on the left-hand side to the enemy jungler. Kuang not even in the conversation. Sibi dodging, weaving, still gets hit, still believing. He'll be fine, walking out of there no problem. FlashPoint can't make use of this lead. They're 6K up, but Team Queso are doing too good of a job of staying alive and being around.
FlashPoint are doing an even better job, though, I think, at keeping this AO away from their team. Hold that thought, though, goes WorstTurttle. Finally going to find him, but he doesn't get the execute. Dracomarino's Watery Grave instead, collecting the last hit. But keep in mind that AO passive, not the same as it once used to be, where it relied on the execution. Now, instead, just refreshes off of an X amount timer. I believe, I don't know the exact amount.
So yesterday, if you watched the console league, Taco and I were on a cast, and I set a new record for shortest amount of time between casters curse. Something said, and it going wrong. I think you just broke that record.
Well, no.
Team Queso
Yours happened before you even finished your sentence.
So did FlashPoint, doing a great job of keeping WorstTurttle off of their carries. WorstTurtle gets the kill onto
but Johnny's
Johnny.
not a carry. I don't think so. I think he's a setup man. I really do. His whole job is to hunt this AO. He dies there because of Dracomarino.
I'm
calling it because it wasn't just WorstTurttle. It was Dracomarino on the Kuzenbo. You have to give credit where credit is due, and that was excellent peel as well as interrupt from Draco.
I'll give it to you. Queso, the one starting the Fire Giant this time around. And again, this is a dance, folks. Neither team actually thinks they are going to slay this boss right this moment.
But
they're looking for the response from the team, and
I don't know, man.
Why is it not coming together? That's the question here.
Well, for Queso, it's because their jungler has done 5,700 damage in a 35-minute game on AO.
Well, how about for FlashPoint, who have the 5,000 to 6,000 gold lead?
They keep losing a member after getting a good pick. They don't reset quickly enough, and so it gives Queso opportunity to respond.
Nox gonna dash away. One more time, we see FlashPoint pushing into the enemy jungle. Kuang out of the conversation, but Sibi's not here either. Kespainify didn't get the memo because he's still killing Julio. Julio. Not Julio 69, but he'll sit out for 60 seconds. Big 1-minute timeout there for the solo laner. Same guy, by the way.
There's still, if FlashPoint still don't feel comfortable going for this enhanced Fire Giant, by the way, that should tell you guys back at home a lot. It is risky business trying to just pull that Fire Giant straight up. Great on Kile proc, though, from WorstTurtle, by the way. Now he has an opportunity here, about a 25-second window to work with to go in.
And again, WorstTurtle, he's using the geometry so well. You see how he's staying in this cove to avoid Johnny's pull. Because that's what's been going on. We haven't seen true 5v5s. It's been a 4v4 almost the whole time as Johnny and WorstTurtle kind of have their own anime battle on the left side. It's usually just Johnny punching WorstTurtle in the face because of Anchile. So, like you said, got to make use of that timer, but not going to do it. FG brought down to about half. Now 25. FlashPoint going to fully peel. Look for the fight. I don't know if peel was the right call here. It looks like a problem. FlashPoint now trying to deal some damage on the right-hand side. Thanks to FaraKrik, 2 bombs down. There's a push from Julio. Once again, out of the Nox nonsense. Not the look you're looking for. And just a slap fight.
Not really a whole lot to go on, but Julio, he spent his minute away, and FlashPoint still in a 4v5 advantage. Could not find an advantage to try and take this Fire Giant. It's just too much of a challenge, I think, trying to toggle between committing to the FG. But you know what? I would much rather see FlashPoint continuously reset this Fire Giant than for them to hesitate in a moment, because they have either been committing to the Fire Giant, and then as soon as they see somebody from Queso, they immediately make the call to commit to the team fight instead. And I do like to see the certainty behind a lot of FlashPoint's decision making.
Well, I think that FlashPoint have the right decision. Right now, FlashPoint are fishing for mistakes. Every time they start this Fire Giant, they then fight Team Queso, and Team Queso does a fantastic job of dealing with everything the FlashPoint gives them. One of these team fights, Team Queso is not going to do a fantastic job. One of these team fights, Julio's going to miss a kick. One of these team fights, something's going to go awry, and that's what FlashPoint are doing.
It could also be the same case for FlashPoint if they're not careful. That's why it's so scary once you start approaching the 40-minute mark in a game, I think, because those respawn timers really do rise up. Both these teams have 2 T2 towers remaining on the map, in mid and solo, respectively. So I don't feel like a 2 to 3 man kill would ultimately result in a game ender. I think at most you are losing your towers and your Phoenix, or one of the Phoenixes at least.
I agree.
But if one of these teams does end up wiping, that is the game.
Well, I think the advantage, generally speaking, goes to the aggressors, right? So if FlashPoint are the ones that are repeatedly starting the objective and or starting the team fight, they're the ones that kind of have the upper hand, theoretically. Dracomarino targeted here, stunned out 50%. Now look for the flank here as Julio and Chekio try to find the squishy members of FlashPoint. Not going to happen. Draco goes back to base. One of the things that Nox does really well, in addition to cutting off a lot of the channel abilities and the combo abilities, is zone. You put down the trouble puddle, you can't walk through it, bud. You're not allowed, because even if you think you're fast enough to get through it without it exploding on you, you're just going to get shadow locked in it.
It's also just not worth the risk through those choke points. I mean, even if the Shadow Lock doesn't connect and you're still just standing on top of a Siphon Darkness, you still can't use any of your cooldowns without first expending beads. And in the case of Sibi or Fusify, they don't have those relics to bail them out. And they are solely relying on the fact that they are super tanky and that's going to be it for them.
It is it's a nice tool that Warchi has drafted here for his team Queso, and I think that that's a big part of what's allowing Queso to stay so relevant in this, to keep these repeated team fights at bay, is because Warchi's able to just drop down this Siphon Darkness and say, 1, you're not allowed to walk here. 2, if you were Sibi, if you're charging at somebody, I'm going to cancel it with my silence. Johnny, Johnny's usually out of the team fight, but FaraKrik, you drop down your noxious fumes, I'm going to silence you so you can't follow up. And that alone is a big deterrent and impact in these team fights.
I've gotten a really good view, though, of this particular section of the map.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really starting to appreciate some of these map features.
I really like this little
It's like a horn. It's like you can communicate to somebody. You would expect to like talk into it and it would go somewhere else.
All right, now FlashPoint are hoping Queso goes someplace else. Johnny with a big grab and a Warchi. They take down the mage. FaraKrik, the big bad boy, making it happen. Dracomarino basically dead as he's pushed out of the team fight. Sibi's gonna make it a reality with the tower dive. Fire Giant not even looked at. Tier 2 tower is toasted. And Julio, very, very, very healthy. Chekio on the back line trying to stay alive.
Oh, no.
This is
Julio.
Chekio not getting involved, arguably the right call, but we saw how quickly he killed Johnny earlier. I don't know, man. Especially Chekio, your abilities as an Ullr are long range. I would have liked to see Chekio, full health and mana, by the way, even before he backed. I would have liked to see Chekio get involved.
This is problematic, though, because now the base has been breached.
Yep.
They not only get the Phoenix, but FlashPoint are still healthy enough that they can make their way over to this Fire Giant. Julio's dead for 40. Warchi's still got another 15 or so. By the time he does respawn and start moving out of base, he is not going to make it in time.
This is pushing it, though. This is still a dangerous Fire Giant. This is not a free Fire Giant by any stretch of the imagination. Fusify is going to do a good job of zoning. Johnny's here to zone as well, and I think this will make Fire Giant much easier. And now, again, I hate the term free because I think Fusify is doing his job, and that's why the Fire Giant comes at a discount, let's say. But paid in full by the previous team fight as they surged down the middle lane. FlashPoint take their lead and extend it. 10,000 gold at 42 minutes. 19-11. Enhanced Fire Giant around the wastes.
Poor Johnny, though. He lost his Magai's proc in the Fire Giant Rift. That's a little unfortunate, but we'll get it back in about 45 seconds or so. That'll be around the time. By the time they're pushing again, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Although, I am a little bit surprised to see him opt for the Magai's Cloak to begin with, simply because of the fact that Nox is probably one of the easiest gods ever to pull that proc.
Yeah, the silence just
Siphon Darkness just, okay, you had this item.
Oh well. Yep. Oh well. Valuable
that brief
against Hercules.
Second, maybe the brief second of CC immunity that I think that allows Johnny to work. It's like prospering in the madness.
Well, the reason that I like Magi's Blessing specifically on characters like Susano, even against a character like Nox, is because you're so flow dependent, you need to not be interrupted, and that brief stutter second can really destroy what a Susano does.
Also, want to point out, oh, never mind, actually, because Fusify just going to toss Warchi up into oblivion here. Night Terror is going to come through, but straight out into the right field. No one there for it to find a home.
Half HP on the bird, more like 60. Julio trying to stay healthy, taking a lot of damage. Here comes Johnny. Knockup is good. The pull is better, and the hit is the best. Julio goes down for 70 seconds. FlashPoint surge into the enemy base. Mid lane Phoenix already down. Right side toasted as well. But the retreat call is good. FlashPoint want to make sure they do this right. And they're looking for the left side Phoenix.
They can't get too poked out because if they're too reckless, then WorstTurttle gets a freebie execute. And nobody wants to see that happen, or for FlashPoint at least, if they're trying to end this one out.
Big point here, the Enhanced Fire Giant takes 50% of the backdoor protections off. That's why that Phoenix went down so quickly. And with 2 members to play defense, FlashPoint look like they're going to make this a 2-game set. 44 minutes of play, and FlashPoint come out up on top.
Man, that was a hard fought 17, 18 minutes though between those two teams around that Fire Giant pit. I believe from right around the 26-minute mark up until 40, there was just nothing going on for those two teams. They weren't giving each other an inch or anything, and yet in the end, I think that they kind of just, FlashPoint just kept continuously chipping away at Team Queso.
They had trust in their mentality. They knew that they wanted to fight on the right-hand side. That's exactly what FlashPoint do. They take down the opposition, and they take the set. 2-0. Let's break it down.
An impressive performance there from FlashPoint as they take down Queso 2-0. Finch here, I got Graham with me as well. We'll break down a very strong performance, really, from FlashPoint along a lot of the way through Johnny, but I think FaraKrik, especially in that last game, played very well as well.
Yeah, I think FlashPoint had a fantastic game overall. Although, like Team Queso, there was good signs in that second game of things that didn't go well in game 1, but worked out way better for him in game 2. Warchi stepped up really well. That Nox performance at the start was beautiful. And Czechia as well, who had a rough time in game 1 on the Xbalanque, going 0-5, 0-6, I believe, stepping up with the 7-4. Problem was they just couldn't get it all together. At the end of the day, if you're going to pick an Kuang in the jungle against Johnny, you better know Johnny's going to know good picks to deal with it, and that's exactly what we saw in that game.
Yeah, there was a lot of Johnny hunting down WorstTurttle on the Kuang and not giving him room to operate. It really is impressive, though, I think, that Queso dragged the game out as long as they did, because it started out so much in favor of FlashPoint. It felt like they were up almost 5,000 experience, like 3,000 gold at one point, largely on the back of Johnny's early pressure and some good setup from Fusify, and they just couldn't quite close it out. Queso kept kind of stalling the game around the FG.
Look at the damage numbers there. You can see real quick the fact that WorstTurttle did under Kumbhakarna damage in that game. That was basically a 4v5 because he couldn't get into the fights at all. Kumbhakarna is one of the greatest defensive gods at dealing with some of the stealthers, the assassins, weapons, specifically in Kuang, is very good, and he caused a lot of problems time and time again for this Queso team.
He absolutely did, and you're seeing it here now, some of the setup that he was able to provide. Some
peel.
great epic uppercuts he was able to do to prevent WorstTurttle from getting in range, to complete those executes. That going up into the sky, being able to come back down, that's so key into part of what makes Ao strong. It gives him an opportunity to reassess the fight, and this is it, where FaraKrik gets saved by Fusify perfectly with the epic uppercut. Not letting him get that execute, that limits so much of what Kuang can do.
Definitely. As soon as he gets in range, he's going for it. Epic uppercut comes out of nowhere. The yawn, the root, all three things cause so many problems for the Kuang. It was a very, very well-performed set from FlashPoint. I will say, Queso, at the start of that, I was like, this is very high-risk, high-reward in terms of ability landing. They hit most of their abilities. They just, once again, game one, they weren't on the same page. They never really got their game plan going. And that game, again, they had a game plan, but they never got it going because, well, FlashPoint just didn't let them do it.
And I think right now in the EUSML, it is out cold, kind of head and shoulders above everyone else just based on those names, and then everyone else kind of clumped together. FlashPoint have already at the beginning of this now created some separation with a strong 2-0 over Queso. Game 1 was never really in any doubt. Game 2 was close, and they finally were able to control that one. Now FlashPoint, look at the team, one of the ones you got to beat if you want to be at the top of the EUSML.
Completely agree. FlashPoint have, well, to be fair, they were there all last year for the most part, apart from
fall split for sure,
at the end, right? They kind of just dropped at the end because Johnny wasn't there. Yeah. They were the team to really worry about, and once again, it's going to be an issue team for some of these other minor league teams as the season progresses. Simplicity and Out Cold game both need to watch their back on them.
That's right. That's going to be the next one we're going into, the Simplicity versus Out Cold set. This is going to show just how difficult I think it might be for Queso and FlashPoint in the future if they want to break up into those top two. We'll get a chance to see between Simplicity, between Out Cold, those two top teams, just if there is a gap, and if there is, how big that gap is between some of these other squads.
It's supposed to do with the synergy that these two have built, which we'll get into in the next set, but who's got the better synergy of these two, as well as, will they be able to complete with FlashPoint and Queso at this stage? Do they still need to do a bit more homework and get their unity together? We'll get to find that out.
And yes, this Out Cold team has a lot of strong players on it, but I mean, I'm wondering, how well are they going to work together? They're not all necessarily from the same team, right? I mean, this is some big spread out on this squad, so we'll certainly get a chance to see from them. We'll break down a little bit more what you can expect from that set in just a moment. Give us a second to get everything ready. Why don't you take a moment to go grab a drink or something, get right back here. We'll move into the second set of the EUSML.